Hey everyone, welcome back to MSTR Daily. My name is Matt, and in this video, we're going to talk about the rumors regarding Trump's day one executive orders for Bitcoin and digital assets. We also have some more Bitcoin buying from Saylor and MicroStrategy, and we are now sitting at 450,000 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. We're getting very close to 500,000. And I also want to talk about the cycles, the Bitcoin cycles, and what some technicians are saying about a massive Q1 and Q2 rally to $170,000. And we also have to review Dr. Jeff Ross's $475,000 Bitcoin prediction for the end of this year. But first, let's start with Cantor Fitzgerald raising their price target on MicroStrategy from $518 to $613. Now, usually you see firms readjust their price targets after a stock has already hit that previous target, but not here, I guess. MSTR is $150 away from $518, and they still decided to increase their target to $613 per share. And Howard Lutnick, the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, is the new hopeful Secretary of Commerce, so maybe he knows something? I'm not totally sure, but it's very bullish that they raised their price target at this time and to that level. Okay, next we have some news that broke yesterday about the day one executive orders we could see out of the Oval Office. David Sachs, Trump's crypto czar, has been working with crypto leaders to finalize a legislative strategy. And Trump is expected to issue executive orders on the first day of his presidency that may address issues including debanking and the repeal of controversial crypto accounting policy SAB 121, which requires banks that are holding digital assets to have to count them as liabilities on the bank's own balance sheet, according to a person involved with conversations. Okay, this is actually huge. I know everybody wants Trump to tap the Exchange Stabilization Fund to buy Bitcoin, but honestly, that is a huge step and we need other things to happen first, like SAB 121 being overturned. And if you remember, Cynthia Lummis actually brought this bill to Congress and it passed the Senate with 60 votes saying yes, one of them being Chuck Schumer and a few other key Democrats, so this was a very bipartisan movement. And this happened before all of the pre-election politics, but then it went to Biden's desk and he vetoed it. Now, Lummis could reintroduce this bill and waste some political capital, or the new commander-in-chief, the person in charge of the SEC, can immediately abolish the rule and allow banks to custody digital assets like any other form of capital, which is a huge barrier being lifted and a large step forward. And this could all happen on day one with executive orders. I also expect some sort of crypto regulation framework to be passed very early. We know that Saylor has been working on this in tandem with the new administration, specifically Eric Trump, who is the Bitcoiner in the Trump family. And I also believe, although I do not have any proof, that Trump will create the SBR, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, in the first 100 days. It is a very simple yet powerful statement to send, and I see no barriers in the way of him announcing it. I really don't see any downsides, only upsides. Purchasing Bitcoin is another thing, and that would have to come from Lummis's Bitcoin Act. And talking of the Bitcoin Act, I am optimistically bullish on that happening kind of eventually. And if it's going to get passed, it probably needs to get passed by the end of 2026 before a new Congress is elected, which will probably flip the Senate or the House, so now is the time to get it done. So all of that being said, the three moves by Trump on day one that we expect could radically change the Bitcoin and digital asset landscape are the regulatory framework, including classifications for different types of digital assets, abolishing SAB 121, and then establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And we are only 5 days away from the inauguration, so I'm a little bullish. Okay, for our next story, we have the relentless execution continuing from Saylor and MicroStrategy, who are buying Bitcoin every week. And it looks like they are still issuing a little bit of equity weekly so that they can continue this pattern. It's been loved by investors in the Bitcoin community, so I am expecting to see 52 announcements this year of MSTR buying Bitcoin every Monday. And this last purchase got them to 450,000 Bitcoin, which is a crazy number. When I first started buying MicroStrategy at $22 a share, they had like 140,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and they have increased that by 3x since then. The execution has been incredible, and Saylor has said that they want to lead. They want to be the market leader, the corporation with the most Bitcoin, the balance sheet with 120% Bitcoin with insane volatility. And along with the 450,000 Bitcoin, MicroStrategy's leverage ratio has decreased. Their debt to Bitcoin ratio is now at only 18%. If you remember, their unstated range is a goal between 25 and 30%. This is due to the recent accretive equity issuance and also the increasing value of the balance sheet with appreciation from Bitcoin. And this is one of the reasons why MSTR's volatility has decreased over the last 2 months, because their leverage has been decreasing. So in February and March, I'm expecting a lot of leverage. My prediction is $5 billion worth, another $3 billion convertible note, and $2 billion of preferred stock, which I guess isn't technically leverage, but for the sake of this example, we'll say it is. That, along with $1 billion of equity issuance, which, let's be honest, it's going to be way more than that, will get them over 500,000 Bitcoin by the end of March, which is incredible. Okay, let's talk about some Bitcoin price targets. Q1 is one of the best quarters for Bitcoin. Obviously, outside of Q4, nothing beats October and November when it comes to seasonality. However, February and March are often forgotten. And when looking at at the Bitcoin chart, I don't think there's a lot of reasons to be bearish over the next 3 months. A new administration is in office next week with every incentive to bring the Dixie lower along with the long end of the curve. Also, February and March are 2 great months for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is consolidating around 90 to 100K, and it's ready to break out into price discovery once again. Let me show you a chart on X from Seth that shows a $170,000 Bitcoin by the end of April, although I have seen him say March in a few of his posts. This parabolic curve that you're seeing on the log chart is still intact, and I expect it to continue into 2025. And if Trump and Besant can get the 10-year lower along with the Dixie, I think the bull market could last sustainably through the end of 2025 with a final blow off top in Q4. And if you want to see my private weekly market videos where we look at the MSTR options market, the Bitcoin market, and monitor uptrends and reversals using TA and the options chain, then check out MSTR Pro in the description below. You know, I think it's time to bring back a clip from Dr. Jeff Ross, the solo hedge fund manager in Colorado, who is still calling for a Bitcoin price of 400,000 to 500,000, specifically 475K per coin by the end of 2025, specifically in October. Watch this.
Could even pop over 1 million for a little bit. But I think 475K for me is kind of the most likely target. I also have Q4 of 2025 as my target. It could extend beyond that based on what I'm seeing, but I'm kind of just sticking with these are the predictions I've made for the last 2 years, and I'm sticking with that 475K in Q4 of 2025. And then the other point, what I wanted to say is these people that are calling for we've already hit our peak and that we're going to roll over. There are a lot of people, and for whatever reason, they're Gen X economists and traders who, and I'm Gen X, so I can say this, I'm right in the middle of Gen X. They are freaking people out saying we are at this historical peak like 1929 or 1999. And we are at the cusp of a massive, massive recession, and we're going to have a deflationary bust, and stocks and Bitcoin are going to absolutely crash and get demolished, and so is oil. Like literally worse than 1929. There are multiple people talking about this. I think they're wrong. I look at I study macro. I run a macro hedge fund. It's a multi-strategy macro fund. I couldn't disagree more. We're all looking at the same data. I think that we are just at the early stages of a new economic cycle. It's actually grinding, and we can get into all this if we want to, or we don't have to talk about any of this. But I think we're early stages, and that the economy is going to be actually quite good throughout 2025. It's leaving me very optimistic. So coming full circle to what you're talking about, I am optimistic like you are. I think that 2025 is going to be a good year. As far as the price is concerned, I just like to remind people, even when we're in a bull market, and I officially declared that I switched from bull crab to full bull. I said around Michael Jackson's birthday, so the end of August of 2024. That's when I switched over, and I haven't looked back since then. I think the price was like 53,000 or something back at the time. During bull markets, it's super normal to have 20 to 30% pullbacks. That's just part of the game. So if we do have these big run ups, what I like to tell people is just imagine if the price was 30% lower a week from today, how would you feel? So keep those kind of things in mind.
It's probably worth mentioning that Jeff recommends to not trade Bitcoin. He says he likes to try and buy the top for bragging rights, but with his personal stack, he just dollar cost averages into the market. So please do not trade based on someone else's predictions. If you live by someone else's predictions, you will also die by that prediction. Well, hopefully not actually die. You get what I mean. But for the fun of it, let me know what your peak Bitcoin price prediction is for 2025 down in the comments below. And with that, if you enjoyed the video, consider hitting the like button and check out MSTR Pro in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.